My name is Caroline Turner. And on the day I was supposed to start the happiest chapter of my life, my own family decided not to show up. It was a small wedding, just 40 guests in a sunlit garden overlooking the lake. I had spent months planning it. I didn't care about grand decorations or luxury. I just wanted warmth, laughter, and the people I loved around me. But as I stood there in my white dress, holding my bouquet and waiting to walk down the aisle, I noticed 3 empty seats in the front row. My parents' seats. And my brother's. At first, I thought maybe they were late. My father was always checking business calls. My mother loved making an entrance. But as the minutes ticked by, the truth settled in like a weight on my chest. They weren't coming. Growing up, I was used to being second best. My brother, Logan, was the family's pride. He was loud, confident, and always right, at least in their eyes. If he scored an A, it was because he was brilliant. If I did, it was because the teacher took pity on me. When he failed at something, they called it a learning experience. When I stumbled, it was a disappointment. My father ran a mid-sized construction company, and Logan was set to inherit it. They called him the future of the family. I was told to be practical, to study something useful. So I became an accountant. Not because I loved numbers, but because I was tired of arguing. When I started dating Evan, my fiancé, my parents barely acknowledged him. "Seems decent," my father said once, without looking up from his laptop. Logan called him too quiet. When I told them we were getting married, they didn't congratulate me. My mother just asked, "Are you sure you can afford a wedding?" I smiled through it. I always did. The night before the wedding, my mother texted me. "Logan's kids are sick. We'll see if we can make it." That was it. "No, we're proud of you." "No, we can't wait." I still believed they'd come. Because no matter how cold they were still my family. But they didn't. When the music started and I walked down the aisle, I saw Evan smiling at me with tears in his eyes. And beyond him, those 3 empty chairs. People whispered. I tried to smile, but my hands trembled so much I almost dropped the bouquet. We went through with the ceremony. I laughed when I was supposed to laugh, smiled for pictures, and thanked everyone for coming. But inside, I felt hollow. Later that night, while everyone was dancing, I went outside alone. The moonlight reflected off the lake, calm and indifferent. I pulled out my phone and saw a post from my brother. Family dinner. Couldn't ask for a better night, red heart. They weren't with sick kids. They were having dinner. Together. That was the moment something inside me broke. Quietly, completely. For a long time, I carried that pain in silence. Evan was supportive, but he didn't fully understand. He came from a warm, loving family. To him, parents missing a wedding was unthinkable. So, instead of explaining, I worked. I took on every extra shift I could. I learned everything about business accounting, auditing, and management. I started freelancing on weekends, then consulting for small companies that couldn't afford big firms. It was exhausting, but it felt good to be building something that was mine. One of my clients, an older woman named Mrs. Patel, noticed how hard I worked. "You're smart," she told me one day. "Why are you helping others build their dreams? Start your own." I laughed at first, but she was serious. So, in 2016, I registered my company, Clearline Financial Services, just me, a laptop, and a rented office corner. The first year was brutal. Clients canceled, bills piled up, and I doubted myself every day. My family never called, never asked how I was doing. But I kept going, because somewhere deep inside, I wanted to prove that I could exist, that I mattered, even if they never saw it. By 2020, Clearline had grown to 10 employees and over 100 clients. We specialized in helping small businesses manage their finances efficiently. When the pandemic hit, many firms collapsed, but ours adapted. I worked around the clock, building digital tools, offering free guidance sessions, and earning trust. That year, we made our first million in profit. I bought a small apartment in the city. Not luxurious, but it was mine. Every inch of it represented freedom. When I told my parents about my success, their response was short. "That's nice, dear. We're glad you're doing something." Not pride, not happiness, just dismissal. So, I stopped reaching out. 2 years later, my company got acquired by a major financial group for $21 million. For the first time in my life, I could breathe. No debt, no fear, just peace. I posted one photo on Instagram. Me, in a white blazer, standing beside a Porsche Taycan with the caption, "Hard work pays off." That single photo changed everything. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from my mother. "Hi, sweetheart. Your father and I were wondering if you could come over for dinner. We miss you." Miss me? After 7 years of silence? Curiosity got the better of me. I agreed. When I arrived, the house looked smaller than I remembered. My father greeted me with a stiff smile. My mother hugged me as if nothing had happened. And Logan, he wasn't smiling. Dinner started awkwardly. Small talk. Forced laughter. Then came the reason I was there. My father cleared his throat. "Caroline, we've had some difficulties. Logan's business isn't doing well. The bank's threatening foreclosure. You know how hard things are these days." I stayed silent. He continued, "You've been very fortunate. Maybe you can help your brother out, just until he gets back on his feet." My mother chimed in, "Your family, Caroline. We take care of each other." I almost laughed. Take care of each other? Where was that energy when I needed them? When I cried alone on my wedding night? When I begged for their support? I looked at them calmly. "How much are you asking for?" Logan shrugged. "About $600,000. I set down my glass and smiled softly. "I can't help you." Their expressions froze. My mother gasped. "Caroline, how can you say that? We're family." I met her eyes and said quietly, "No, we stopped being family the day you chose dinner over my wedding." And then I stood up and walked away. That night, I sat in my car outside their house for a long time. Not angry, not sad, just done. For years, I had dreamed of this moment, proving myself, confronting them. But now that it had come, I felt nothing. Revenge wasn't shouting or exposing them. It was walking away, peacefully, with everything they said I'd never achieve. A month later, I launched the Evelyn Grant Foundation, named after my high school teacher, the only adult who ever told me I was capable of greatness. The foundation offered scholarships and mentorship programs for young women from neglected or underprivileged backgrounds, girls like me, who were told they weren't good enough. We started small, 10 scholarships, then 50. Within a year, national news outlets picked up the story. When I appeared on TV, my parents called again. I didn't answer. A year later, I received an invitation, my nephew's birthday party. Logan's son. I almost deleted it. But then I thought, maybe it was time to close the circle. When I arrived, people whispered. My brother's business had collapsed. They were living modestly now, selling off properties to survive. My mother hugged me like nothing had changed. "Caroline, we're so proud of you," she said. Her voice trembled, not with love, but with envy. Logan avoided my eyes. As the evening went on, one of his friends approached me and said, "I heard you funded scholarships for hundreds of students. That's incredible." Logan's face darkened. He muttered, "Yeah, she's always had to prove she's better than everyone else." I smiled. "No, Logan. I just had to prove I was enough." Then I excused myself and left. That night, I returned home, took off my shoes, and sat by the window. The city lights shimmered like stars. I thought about all the years I'd wasted chasing their approval, and all the years I'd gained by letting go. People often think revenge means destruction, but real revenge is peace. It's standing tall without bitterness. It's living the life they swore you couldn't. It's turning pain into purpose. I never heard from my family again after that night. But sometimes I get letters from the girls my foundation helps. They tell me about their dreams, their degrees, their gratitude. Every letter feels like a quiet victory, because even though I lost a family, I gained something far greater, myself. Years later, while hosting a mentorship seminar, a young woman asked me, "How do you stay strong when the people you love hurt you the most?" I smiled and said, "By realizing their rejection isn't your ending, it's your beginning." And when I looked out at the audience, rows of hopeful faces, I finally understood. The wedding they never came to was the best thing that ever happened to me.